Thanks everybody for coming out. Today, our professional speaker comes all the way from Cleveland Street today. Amanda Lee's community banker with First State Bank of Purdy, has 5 locations located at the corner of Southwest Missouri. A finance and economics graduate of Missouri Southern State University. Her main roles with the bank include operation, finance, marketing, social media, and serving as First on Front events series coordinator. She also serves on various regional committees, including area schools, I can't read it today, technical center education and marketing communities, the PFAC for Cox Monette Hospital, the Young Professionals Council for Cox Health in Springfield, and his Children's Miracle Network Hospital Monette Area Pastor Council member. That's a mouthful right there. Currently serves on Monette Young Professional Network Committee. Woo! And is a board member for the Monette YMCA, named a top 10 under 40 and one of the most influential women in Southwest Missouri, and is active in the community, financial education. Amanda lives in Monette with her husband Christopher, her little ones Mason and Tracy. That's fun. I like it. So, just a little nuance here. Grayson's at daycare for the first time, so Amanda has her phone out. So she looks at that. She's not being rude. She's being a mom. Yeah. So thank you for allowing us to suck you into this role, and you've always been willing to speak, and I appreciate that. So one thing that I always like to do is learn about professionals' past. You know, how did you get to where you're at? So tell me about your career path.
So I graduated from Monette High School, Missouri Southern, and I first was involved. That's how I started involved in clubs and everything. I think it was incredibly important to get involved because you never know where life can take you. So I want those professors and like that I still have to say. But I worked through the First State Bank all through my senior high school and college. I actually left the bank and was a financial analyst for the health system in Springfield. And then I was approached a couple of years later to come back to First State Bank. And I still love talk. I actually wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but came back home and stayed with the bank ever since.
Exciting. Can I hear us fine on there?
I think so. James said there's a bit of a background noise, but I mean, I can only be so quiet.
All right. He munches pretty loud. So, what intentional decisions or steps did you take to become the COO of First State Bank? Which is impressive. I've been in banking for many years, and I've never met a COO of banking.
This is ridiculous. This interview is going to go downhill. I didn't do any intentional steps, so I don't know if that's a good pathway. I have always just been me, and I think that everybody should find whatever it is to work for a company that you believe in, that you do a job that you love to do. I'm not big on titles. I mean, I think they should accurately describe what you do, so it's clear. But other than that, like I do what I've always done. So I didn't make any special maneuvers for a title. I did what I wanted to do and what was best for our organization. And I think that's unique about ours is like when we kind of introduce ourselves and things like that, we're with First State Bank and things like that. Like we don't use our titles unless you specifically call us out on like what is it you do. So I say I do everything but Lynn, like especially with these young. But so I that was kind of decent advice of like I didn't ever set a goal of this is what I want to be and this is the title that I want. I'm going to do everything in my power to get to that. I did my best every day, and when you put your heart into something, when people can trust your judgment, things like that, natural progression and advancement will happen. But I never actually worked for a title or a position. I love what I do, and that can be anything from there's a brass in the ceiling, what do we do, to an operational question. So
I like that. Just wake up and go. Be the best at your position this day.
There's no, if you're not doing something that you love or something that you don't enjoy every day, they're not going to believe you. So when you believe in the company you work for, when you believe in what you're doing, people can see that. If you're doing it to serve yourself or you're doing it for self-motivation, I mean, you're not going to have any from the buying people that you work with because they can play yourself, not looking for the organization you work with. And that can be if you're self-employed or you're working for a big, Jack Penguin or whatever. If you're working for the wrong reason, you're not going to go very far. If you do it for the right reason, then the progression will happen.
That sounds pretty interesting.
That would be the best.
So one thing that we talked about, was that last week when I came to your office or the week before, COVID time, mine's all messed up these days. One statement that just added in was self-branding. It really jumped out to me because there are very specific things when I think manually. You'll learn here in a second. Well, but it's something I can tell that you put some thought into. So how would you describe self-branding?
So the best way that I can describe that is when I make a phone call for our craziest, like, for example, when we did this stuff with MI or we do stuff with us, or we do all the stuff that First State Bank does that is crazy that you don't see banks doing. I never make a phone call going, hey, Russ Warren, this is the COO of First State Bank. I need to talk to him. Things like that. It is always Amanda Lee, or hey, Amanda Lee's on the phone for you, or things like that. I think if you're true to yourself and you're doing what you believe in, that people can believe what you're doing. So one of the things that a pet peeve of mine is with an answer of I don't know. Well, why did that happen? I don't know. You can know the things that it's not, and by defining the things that it's not, you can actually find what they are. So being true to your word, I might not know the answer, and I think admitting you don't know the answer, that you make a mistake. I'm not the know-all, and I'm not anything special that I do. What you are is what you do for other people. So I think when you talk about self-branding, you can do that in any position that you're in, whether you're just starting out in your career or if you're in the executive position that you want. If you have a name for her, she always returns my phone calls. She does what she says she's going to do. I know she's probably not going to know the answer, but she'll get you to the right person who does. I take a lot of those phone calls. Anyone have a problem when Murray started referring people to me? I realized it was my business. But I wanted to know where to get information or how things work or how things happen. And being a hometown girl, like I had a vested interest in making sure that everybody around us, like it's not just me or you or just our age, like we have a vested interest in everybody. So being the person that I might know the answer, but I will work and I will help you in any way I can to create a name for yourself, because you don't want to be the person who says, well, she's not very helpful, or she only helps me because she does something that's for her, or she'll only return the phone call if it's Brad Hill, State Farm, on an official capacity, but she won't answer the phone. Like, you've got to take care of people, and then naturally, your career will take care of itself. So to be a self-branding is being nice to people. When you go in and order your salad, from Billy, you make conversation. You do things like, hey, there's a coin shortage now. Like, hey, you might have bank with us and you need coins. Like, we will try to help you out. So doing the right thing as a person, you want that.
So a lot of your self-branding really does go around with values, right? Being honest, compassionate, really, right?
Right.
Very much community-oriented, and having that desire for everyone else to succeed. I love that outlook where if you lift everybody else up, you do rise as well.
Right. And part of leadership method is the servant leader, and that's exactly what kind of that would be is you've got to be able to do the work yourself, and you can't buy into an idea if you're not willing to do the work.
Right. Perfect. So community involvement. You're involved in a couple of things, right? So that's one thing. One of my first thoughts is of Amanda Lee's involved in our community. Why is this so important to your purpose in life? Because a lot of people go home can be disconnected from the community, right?
So, the biggest thing when I say myself, which is really corny, but it's not you. And I know that's something that's very simple. I say it all the time, like for a classroom party for your preschool. If you're not the mom that does it, who else is going to do it? So it's not you. So if you see a natural, and that's how personal card came about. Honestly, it was the pavilion was being built by Main Street. It was going to take a significant amount of money. Lynn and Sharon Garrett are owners. It was hard pretty much for them, but it was going to take some big investment to really do an event. Well, if not us too, it made sense for us. It was a way of doing like Lynn, Sharon was talking about downtown. So if not you, too. So that's kind of how the community involvement is. That's how we've done the crazy fundraisers and things with the food drives and everything else that was done when Castle flooded and the Boy Scouts lost their trailer and all sorts of other things that have happened is it's not you too. And that's one of my biggest things is if you're wanting to be a leader in your community, look for those gaps. One of my biggest pet peeves is people, there's nothing to do with this town, I'd rather go someplace else, it's horrible, nothing's gonna change. Well, if you're not willing to change it, it's never going to change. And so it's one of the things they want. You want events and you want things like that. That takes manpower. It takes volunteers and things like that. And little things take volunteers and coaches and all sorts of things. But if you just sit back expecting somebody to do it for you, that's relying on somebody else to make it happen. So it's not you who. So if you're looking for a way, but it's one of those things like, I love to eat junk food. I mean, we're having salads today. But if you absolutely hate being outside, it's like, don't do it for the wrong motivation because you think it will be good for your career. Like, oh, I should probably get on this board because I know that he's on this board and ultimately I want to get him. I want to do something. That's the completely wrong move. You're going to take time to try to get it. You're going to hate being there. You're going to see it. You're not going to be vested. You're not going to have it. So,
One thing I know that you love is the first up front. How did that evolve? Because I know a lot of but
it actually, so I believe in giving credit where credit's due. It was not originally the concept a bank of Oklahoma was actually doing. And she was one of the speakers at a conference and I'm a big believer in getting out of the box, getting education where you can. And she was the speaker, the keynote speaker, and then following her was the most boring speaker I've ever heard in my life. So she had done this big thing about how they were had it was if it sounds familiar, a dying downtown area, businesses were fleeing, blah blah. I mean the story sounded so much kind of like the similar things from that, which I know it's communities everywhere. And what they had done is they had done the first upfront idea. They started out small, they brought in industrial focus on local music, local things like that. We can do that. And then I know, some local people that play music, I know some local people that have why not us? So it actually, during a really boring speaker, I started having all these thoughts, and I still have the notebook. My friend Carrie, who works at another bank out of Joplin, was meant, and I was just like furiously writing all these ideas. Basically, the wheel that they had created in Oklahoma of why can't we be back here? And like, well, maybe we can do it on a Friday, well, let's do Saturday, or our employees are going to do that on Saturday. Like all of these things that I have to get. So that's just one of the things. And so after that speaker was over, she's like, that's the worst speaker I've ever heard in my life. I was like, no, but I have this idea. So I kind of came back with the idea and said, hey, this is kind of crazy idea. What does everybody else think? And it was, hey, let's kick off, this kind of idea. We brought in, that's when you can't do everything by yourself. Like, the first on front is a first aid bank expert. Everybody's doing time. So we couldn't do it without, like, hey, Jeff, what do you think about this idea? Hey, in this file, so if we use this, and what does that, I mean, it takes a whole crew of team to do it, but it all started off with an idea, but it was hard, and it's long hours, and it's easy to go, we're not going to do this anymore. But it's not you to do.
Yeah, and I love the courage that you have to come in and present, like you said, a crazy idea, right? And he said it's going to take a lot of money. A lot of people see that as barriers, right, and stop. Well, how am I going to get my employer to spend thousands of dollars for just an event that I heard about conference, right? So I'm told that. How did that? When you got back, I like how you said, I just presented to them as, what does everybody think? It wasn't, hey, I got this great idea, we have to do it, right? It was, unfold that conversation for us. How did you present the idea in a way that seems like a crazy idea and it came to fruition, right?
It did. Something that I've always been, and something advice I would give is just be you. Don't be something that you're not. So a caveat to that story is I now serve on the board for talk over here. So you guys know where Soda, the Lady Cupid thing? Well, when that first came out, I sent him to my best friend Nikki with Christy and I sent him to the fifth floor at Cox, and they videoed it. And when the video started, the first people you see are Steve Edwards and Jake, who are the CEO and CFO, as they walk up this road van. And so, like, oh, this is going to go well. So he goes back, does the thing. She still to this day has not lived down Cupid. And we had a Zoom meeting, and they were, asking, all the new committee members. And I don't know if you remember, but the naked man that came to your office about 5 years ago, that was Paul. And he was like, I remember that. So I think if you're going to, see yourself. And so that's what, when the first round front idea, it was, here's an idea. It's not my idea. Here's how a bank has done it. Why can't we do that? It will fill a need in the community. There's some partnerships there. See what happens. And so it turned into it's all about community. It's all about bringing people together. And so that's what we tried, and it worked.
Well, thank you for sharing that, because I know it didn't just happen overnight. I like the progression of that, and really just you continually invest in growing, right, in your education and what going on outside the box and going to these conferences. Because if we live inside the box, nothing is going to happen, right? So I love that you continue to stretch yourself in your mind, because now I'm excited to see what happens over the next 20 years. What other crazy thing you're going to bring to it? So.
Well, and something else that I think is a takeaway for this session that I'm busy. I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids. Life happens. There's countries and life and work and work late and all that other stuff. I'm a big reader, but when I read, I'm not going to read motivational books and things like that and how to be a leader and things like that. And that's I think that's important for leaders to say, do what works for you. Absolutely do what works for you to find. So for me, how I find engagement and things like that is actually doing the work versus having the idea and then doing it. So have an idea, even if it's small, and that works for you, do that. Because then that can turn into something else, and that can be consistent. So just because you attend a conference and they say you have to read this book, or proponent of, maybe not. Maybe don't read the book. Go to your time. Yeah, you're reading the book, about getting up and jumping. It's not going to happen. And I'm just wasting time on things like that. So,
well, you segue next very well into the work-life balance, because you got your 2 wonderful kiddos and your husband. And since one of the big values that you have is community, right? I'm sure you're presented with opportunities to be more and more and more involved. You have a reputation of being able to get things done. So how do you manage that balance and say, this is my limit, and politely say no?
I'm learning to say no. So we can say, I'm learning slowly to say
barely on that track.
There's been some things people don't really make sense to me. I'm not athletic. That was my first thing with the YMCA. My period after, right? But they do so much more than that. So, work with, I couldn't do it without having Chris. He's the most outstanding partner for everything. And you will find him at first on fun at 1 o'clock in the morning, tearing down part of the stage, and doing whatever that needs to be done and after that. But work-life balance is actually part of coming back to what you said, going to conferences. The Missouri Bankers Association actually had a regional meeting, and Jack Henry hosted it for, banking software. NBA had it there. And they had, at the time, it was Kevin Williams and Jack Henry, maybe 21. They were talking, so this was, this is probably 8, 9 years ago. And something that Kevin Williams said that really struck me is he had been in his position, he's been in his position for a really long time. You don't really see that with major companies. And one of the things that he did with his wife and child was he actually put them on his calendar. And I thought that was really like, I don't want to say profound, but he put them on his calendar and he didn't lose those if he had dinner with his wife and that. So literally just picking up tidbits, I think that's a great thing. So if Nathan has a Halloween party or, there's this or something, like I put it on my calendar and I move things that I need to do in my life around those things. And so it's not like I have a code. I'm not a super organized person where everything's color coded and things that it doesn't have to be complicated. But if you put it down and you're going to do it and it's important to you, going to your kid's party is no different than going to a meeting. So work-life balance, I'm actually on vacation today, but I had given my word to do this months ago, and so I'm here for the part of doing what you say we're going to do, but I also penciled it in. So we made it towards first drop off at daycare and, kind of time to get all right. So having that balance, I don't want to say it's easy, but when you've got a partner that works with you, so you kind of do that, and you actually strategically do it instead of living in chaos of I don't know what I'm going to do, or I missed the party, or I don't have this going. If you have it down and you treat it as a meeting, an investment in your family is an investment as much in your career. If you're not happy at home, that translates. People are invested. So I think
That's what all in.
that's a little thing.
Then it sounds like you don't prioritize much over the other. You just make sure you have enough time to do it.
Right.
Right.
So no one's like, I don't know how you do it all. I don't, but I'll take my hours of the day. So in the end, I get to do more than if it was a process.
It doesn't have to be complicated either.
Right.
From a calendar or awesome state farm portfolio that you're getting.
Yes. The state farm,
Yeah.
right line yourself.
Yeah. So how do you not burn out?
Perspective and doing what you love. Like, I love what I do at the bank. It's not, it's a job, but it's not a job, if that makes sense. I don't do it and then I cannot wait to get home. I love what I do. I love being home with my family, things like that. So when you have that balance and that joy, it's easy. It's a life. So it's not, and there's a quote, I'm going to get it wrong, but it was something that I kind of find when you feel like you're getting in the slump of, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this. It's something, I don't know the context of it, but it was basically like romanticize your life. If you put yourself like you're a character in a novel, all of a sudden everything you do becomes a little more fascinating. Then she had to do this, and then she had to do this. So if you romanticize your own life of, what, I'm lucky to do this, or I'm doing this, or making this, or if I had a serious film crew around, I need to make this more interesting. So if you do things to make it not so burdensome and you have that joy in life, it's just living your life. So, but this connection, I think it's kind of a constant thing. Finding time to be away from that purposefully. You never want to for a long time because it never fails you because you'll have time to all in the world and visit. I'm not saying completely unplugged, we'll never check back in, but
reconnect with yourself.
We have family dinner. Like that's something that we did, my parents did it with us. We have a set time, we have family dinner, and we sit down at the dinner table, we don't have phones, we connect with each other. So Nathan's going to do that next week, but that's kind of all he knows is it's dinner time. We eat dinner at the table, we don't have our tablets, we have our phones, so we purposely kind of do the daily download. And something I would encourage people to do, if you haven't done leadership on it, definitely do it. I know COVID kind of weird, but when it's back, they do the color code thing, which I know every employer does. How you think the way you think, but I'm an A, so that's kind of what I'm doing this. It's back, A to B. I don't like a whole bunch. My husband's a blue, and so he wants to give me all the details and all that. So it's like the daily download of all the things that he needs to do. But knowing that and having that knowledge through doing leadership and different trainings and stuff, and so the daily dialogue, that's important. So I think finding out why you think the way you think and how the people you surround yourself with, whether it's your boss, spouse, whatever, will also help you because it's not, I mean, this is just the way they are. So that's been incredibly helpful.
I like the daily download. So one last thing I like to always learn about as a professional is what are your future aspirations for yourself?
Oh Lord, surviving COVID.
There you go.
No, ultimately keep doing what I'm doing. There's nothing like putting in the time and effort and then actually seeing that actually change or be important for something. So as community bankers, I don't win money, so I can't keep somebody by the first house or the first car, things like that. But challenges come up and being able to, if you're a person, how can I help make this easier on you? And making those impactful moments. One of my favorite things, like with the personal threat, is it's chaos, it's hot, lots of work, and you know you're going to be there late. But then when you look out and there's all these people happy, and there's kids running in the splash pad, and people with big trucks, and this is how we do it. So taking those moments, I just hope that we'll have some more of it.
Thank you for taking time to share with us on your vacation day. Thanks for putting us on your calendar. Okay. Questions? Comments?
I do. A person such as yourself that's dedicated to the job, that it's important to you, and that's what helped, First State also become that hand in hand. How would you recommend, or first off, what drew you to that and what kept you there?
Working for somebody that was all about community when I felt that in my heart too, and being able to do things that made a difference. So if you have that mindset of I want to be involved, I want to create partnerships, things like that, look for the other people that have that same mindset. They're out there, but
so like in your case, management and yourself have the same mindset.
Yeah, you won't find a better team. Like I can go out and say, like unapologetically fun for First State Bank. We do what's best, and we try to help as we can, and that translates to even if we do. We set the semi for Texas. Like, it was one of the things that it felt like the right thing to do. We wanted to do it. Like, call Tyson, like, can you get me a semi? Like, call Cox, like, what can we do, and doing the right thing. So when you surround yourself with people that all have the kind of ultimate goal, it will all naturally just happen. You're not going to fight it.
Do you feel like that branches off like a tree? I mean, obviously you're like that. But can you really say that all the people under First State are like that? Or are they eventually kind of like that?
That's a good question. I mean, you would like to think that everybody's like a metropolis and everybody gets along, but obviously, personality, conflict is going to happen and things like that. But I'm kind of a believer of if you're on the bus, find your seat on the bus kind of thing. So naturally, I mean, people don't leave us, our organization, we don't have any turnover like that. So I think it attracts like-minded people. But I'm a big believer in doing things not for yourself. And we're lucky enough that we have that.
And to finalize, so what would you recommend to, like you said, you attract like-minded people? What would you recommend to maybe attract or maybe look for type of people with the same views as, me and my kids?
Right, and like this goes. So, getting out there and putting what you believe in and what's important to you for people to see. So, banks are all the same. We all do loans, we all cash checks, we all have the exact thing. But it's our community presence and our involvement in getting out and doing those things that make people go, hey, I want to do that. So, if child poverty is important to you, or making sure that, supporting the schools, or whatever that is, putting your name and your business out there as a base of, hey, I kind of vaguely remember that he did that. And so say you did a back to school backpack drive for Verona or whatever that is. So when we do our stuff the bus, I'm like, there was a guy, so then naturally I'm going to reach out to you when we've got our stuff the bus that Cox is also doing. So then your network kind of opens. But if you have beliefs and you don't do one of those things, putting in the work and putting yourself out there. If we don't know what your business outside of what you buy and sell and what you do, what you stand for, if you set out there, people will be naturally drawn in your business. So I don't know if that really answers your
It does make
question.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
So if it's, hey, stop by, give me 5 cans, you know, we'll go to the food bank and I'll give you like a 3/4 oil. I mean, little stuff like that makes a difference.
End result, if you're trying to build up your team, you'll see that. And I want to be part of that.
I want to be a part of that.
So mine kind of goes off of like, we had talked about you presenting ideas that, you know, you have come up with. So I, asked that as, I mean, have you always had confidence to put it out there? Because I know sometimes for me, I'm a little bit more shy, so it's hard for me. Some of the scariest thing is to present my ideas to a group because I'm thinking, well, what if it's really not a great idea? And so did you always have that confidence, or did you have to, like, did you have a way that you built up to that? Or?
That's a really good question. I actually, like, I would full on say that I actually kind of have anxiety. I guarantee you I have some part of anxiety. That's a real thing. But, so no, it's not like instinctual for me, or I'm a data person. I like facts and figures. And so if there's something that's on your heart or project or whatever that is, if you know this is the outcome, even if you're challenged, you're confident in what you know. And so that's what, like, I will never say or go to bat or anything that I'm not confident in. And if I don't know, the answer is I don't know. And I know I said I hate the word I don't know, but I can tell you what it's not. This isn't the right answer. This isn't the right answer. This might be it. So if you are positioning an idea or a product or something within your company and you're completely, I'm going to throw up, like they're going to think this is the wrong first idea, or I want to do this event and I think it will help our team become better, whatever it is. And you're like, I'm not going to want to do this. Sometimes people are stupid, like this is a stupid idea. I kind of have 2 thoughts on that. Find somebody in your organization or even a trusted friend that can be like, this is my crazy idea. Well, tell me what's wrong with it. And then be like, well, first off, how you can pay for it? Like, what's it? Like, have somebody that will kind of that you trust to be mean to you.
Yeah. So
But
the bounce off of
the bounce off that you trust that it's not going to be. But it's one of the things of being a trusted person, and you're looking out for. You're not doing something to advance yourself. You're doing something to advance an idea. So even if your idea is not ultimately taken, knowing that, okay, I did my research and I think it would cost this much and it had this much impact or it would involve this many people. If you have all of your facts where you feel, almost pretend you're an attorney. Like build your case. What's the arguments that can come against me? I'm fully prepared. And if the idea is not, well received, it's ultimately not a reflection on you. Maybe you need to go back to the drawing board of where did it go wrong. So naturally, I'm not a good like, hey, this is a position like that. But when I had this is how much it's going to cost. This is what we're going to need. This is the things that did it. These are the things that they did. These are what we run into. I this and this. I could be wrong, and this would be a giant flop. But you don't know.
To be prepared.
Yeah, being prepared will take that kind of away.
Courage, right? You know where they're going to come at you, and not just having a friend that's just going to rubber stamp it.
Right. I think that's a great idea. Go for it. And have that friend doing it. I mean, stay away from those. But find someone that's like, tell me your worst. Tell me your worst thing. What's the worst thing about it? And then it will cause you to think of an enemy you have at work that naturally just hate everything you do. What are they going to say about this? And already have an argument with it.
Got any questions online?
We don't. Some girl named Christy said, "Great job, Amanda."
Yeah, she's never.
Well, thank you, Amanda, for joining us. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody online, for joining us, and everybody here. Enjoy your lunches. Those are here who are not here. Hopefully your hot pockets are good. We'll see you at our next. When is the next one?
The next one is scheduled to be October 13th. Supposed to be with Scott Fitzpatrick. We'll see if that still comes to fruition. Couple things I would like to mention. Those that aren't watching, this is The Voice. If you'd like to volunteer, the Repurposed Fair that Monette Main Street puts on is coming up August 22nd and 23rd. There's definitely a need for volunteers. First day of school is August 25. So if you have teacher friends or parents, it's kind of stressful for everybody right now. And then on October 10th, we will have the unveiling of the Freedom Silo that Monette Main Street does with some music, a free movie, food trucks, and that will all kick off at 6 o'clock on October 10th at the Downtown Pavilion in the Glen Insured Garrett Downtown Park. So thank you all for coming and attending. And again, enjoy those Hot Pockets.
Yeah.
So goodbye, everybody. This video will be posted to our YouTube page in the reasonably near future.